Sometimes off-season articles allow you to see maybe the Steelers are in a better place than you think. And in this latest one from NFL.com, you start to really realize, yeah, nobody's super happy with the offensive line, but there is a position that you're not going to get rid of, even if some people want you to. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbein. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. And today I'm going to defend Chuks Okorafor. And I don't do that very often, but in this situation, I'm going to say it straight from the jump, and then we're going to get into why I'm right on this. The Steelers should not cut him, and he's worth the money. Crazy, right? Do I truly believe that he is worth his cap hit of $13 million in 2023? No, not truthfully. I don't think that he's a top 10 paid right tackle in the NFL. I think the Steelers made their biggest mistake by putting him at the right side and then being so stubborn that they wouldn't put him on the left. I think he'd be a much better left tackle than he is a right tackle. I think he fits their needs way better. I also think Dan Moore might be a better right tackle than he is a left tackle. But here we are. The Steelers have him at the right tackle. He's set to be paid $13 million this season. He's 25 years and 190 days old. He's very young. And there's nobody, and I mean nobody, that the Steelers can go out and sign and feel better about, even if people want to suggest that. NFL.com's Greg Rosenthal suggested that the Steelers have two offseason moves to make that they must make this offseason that they could feel better about. The first one is to re-sign Cam Sutton. Easy peasy. No questions about it, and I'd be shocked if you found a large enough part of the fan base or the media or the analytic community to say, no, you're wrong, Cam Sutton should leave the Pittsburgh Steelers. No. He is their must resign. He is a superstar in Pittsburgh. The dude keeps that defense together. He keeps that secondary together. And as of right now, he is their cornerback one and likely will be heading into 2023. Cam Sutton's an easy one. No questions about it there. But then there goes Moore. He talks about maybe they should make some cuts on the offensive line. And his suggestions, Chuks Okorafor and Kevin Dotson. Neither of whom makes sense. And even if you think, well, Kevin Dotson, he shouldn't be cut, but he shouldn't start because cutting him makes no sense. He's on a 4th round pick rookie deal. There isn't much money coming his way. And you're not going to get somebody who started all 16 games last season who could even at worst provide quality depth to come in here for less than Kevin Dotson's going to make in 2023. That's just not going to happen. But some people just ignore that stuff and they just put names out there just to put names out there. This seems to be that case. But then there's Chuks Okorafor, who is set to take on a $13 million cap hit this season. If he leaves, you're taking on $6 million in dead money if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's where things become tricky. Yeah, the Steelers might not have the biggest star at right tackle, and Chuks Okorafor might not be the best player in the league at his position. But in the $7 million that you're going to save by cutting him, what are you going to get? That is the question. Because if you're not going to get somebody that's as good and has as much potential as Chuks Okorafor, there's no reason to go out and make this move. And the Steelers are not, and by no means can you persuade me that they are, going to get anybody even close with $7 million. Let's look at the free agency market first. You have 3 names. George Fant, who's 30 years old, coming off a season with the Jets, who made $9 million, and chances are he's going to make over $10 million this upcoming season. Not going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, nor does it make sense to sign him to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because for a team who's finally starting to get somewhere on the offensive line, why would you replace young guys, 25-year-old right tackles with starting experience, plenty of it, for a guy that's 30 years old, who's going to be 31 by the time the season starts, only has a couple of years left, if that. Just doesn't make any sense whatsoever for the Steelers to go out and sign a veteran. So there's two younger names. Mike McGlinchey out of San Francisco. Yeah, okay. But if you look at San Francisco fans and San Francisco media and see how well they believe he played in San Francisco, it's not raving reviews. If you follow Grant Cohn, who's a colleague of mine, whose opinion I trust, not great. And he pounds the table plenty of times that the San Francisco 49ers need a better right tackle because Mike McGlinchey is not it. But even so, you can't afford him if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers because you're going to pay him a market value estimate of $10.7 million a season. Chuks Okorafor is 13 and he's 3 years younger and maybe has some higher upside. Doesn't make any sense there. And then the other option is Juwan Taylor. 25 years old, probably better than Chuks Okorafor. I will give you that one. Really superstar potential here coming out of the Chargers. You got to feel good about that one. Or Jacksonville, excuse me. You got to feel good about that one. But what's his market value estimate? $12 million a season. And yeah, Chuks should not be making more than him. But the Steelers made a mistake. They put too much stock on the back end of Chuks Okorafor's contract, and they tried to make it, oh, well, if he doesn't show up, he's not worth it. But what they really did is said, okay, well, the bar has to be, he has to be a top 10 right tackle in the NFL. Otherwise, he's not worth this contract. Well, that's tough because Chuks Okorafor isn't a top 10 right tackle, but you're not going to get rid of the 15th best tackle in the NFL or the 12th best tackle in the NFL and say, oh, well, that's okay because we'll just go find a top 10. That's not going to happen. You have your starting right tackle. You should have paid him where he truly lies on the board, which is not top 10. But you're not going to find anybody to replace him. That's the biggest thing is you're not even going to come close. The Steelers do not have an option. There is nobody on the free agency market that they could go out and feel better about outside of Taylor. But at that point, you're going to pay $19 million this season for a tackle, for a right tackle, because you're going to take $7 million and just take it as a dead hit, or $6 million and take it as a dead hit, and then $12 million to go sign Taylor. $18 million just to go get a new right tackle that might be just slightly better than Chuks Okorafor. Doesn't make any sense. You look at the offensive linemen in this draft, and yeah, there's some good ones like Darnell Wright, but people are already talking about him moving to the left side. There is no true-blooded right tackle, and honestly, overall, the offensive line class in this draft is pretty weak. It's not as good as years past. So you're going to take a question mark and say, hey, we're going to stick you at right tackle. We won't have any depth, and we're going to get rid of Chuks Okorafor, who's been our longest-standing starter and most proven guy on the line outside of James Daniels. And we're going to get rid of him because he's too much money, and we're going to hope you turn into something in the next two to 3 years. Screw this season, screw next season, screw the progress that the Steelers have made. We're just going to get rid of him, and we're going to start from scratch in the NFL draft. Do you see where all this is going? Some people just like to toss a name out there, and Chuks Okorafor is the biggest one sometimes. But it doesn't make sense for the Steelers to cut anybody on the offensive line. They don't have the room to afford to cut anybody on the offensive line. Kevin Dotson makes 0 cents. He's on a rookie contract. Dan Moore Jr. makes 0 cents. He's on a rookie contract. Mason Cole had a good season, and he's not getting paid a boatload of money. You keep him. James Daniels appears to be your anchor, and he's very young. He's only 25 years old. You keep him. The Steelers have a very young offensive line. You got to remember that. Mason Cole might seem like a veteran, but he's 26 years old. Chuks Okorafor is 25. James Daniels is 25. Dan Moore Jr. is a third-year left tackle. Kevin Dotson's a fourth-year guy. He's about to be 26 years old, or if he's not already 26 years old. The Steelers' offensive line is so young, it's crazy. And that's okay because that's good, because if you want to build those building blocks, you want to start young. But they have their pieces there. They need to upgrade at some. They need to upgrade at left guard and left tackle. But you're not going to get rid of these guys in the process because they're so young that you have to feel confident enough that, all right, worst case scenario, their quality depth, Dan Moore for the next 2 years, Kevin Dotson for the next season. But Chukes Okorafor? No. He shouldn't even be on a list. He shouldn't even be talked about. The Steelers have the center, right guard, right tackle position filled for 2023. Hook, line, sinker. Cross it off. Throw the paper out the window. You don't have to replace any of them, and you don't have to worry about cutting them. Go cut Mitch Trubisky. Go cut Miles Jack. Go renegotiate Cam Hayward's deal or TJ Watt's deal or Minka Fitzpatrick's deal. There's names out there before you're going anywhere near the offensive line. Yeah, Chukes Okorafor isn't worth $13 million this season. But you're not going to find somebody that's worth $7 million that's going to replace him. So the Steelers got to stick with who they got. And truthfully, they should feel pretty good about that situation. Because at 25 years old, Chukes Okorafor has impressed a lot of people. And he's by no means a bad right tackle.